What I'm going to show you guys today is how to have an enemy or even another player, another character in the game follow you around. So first thing you're going to need to do is make your actor that's going to follow that person around. So we're going to call this one, we're going to call him Baddie because that's kind of fun. And we're going to do the regular cleanup kind of stuff. So I want to make sure he's movable, fixed rotation, bounciness is set to 0, that kind of stuff. And to make sure he doesn't blend in with anything, I'd like to give him a color. And since red has always kind of been a bad guy color, or black, then we'll go with red because it's a little more fun. So we go back over here, and the main thing that is really important about this is that we need to make 2 game attributes. So we need to be back on this screen, go to attributes here, and we're going to add in an attribute. Now, you can have this as an integer or real. Either one's fine. They both contain numbers. We're going to go with integer. And we're going to be making player X. And for everybody playing at home, what's the next one going to be? It's going to be player Y. Because we need to let the game know where Mega Man is, and he needs to broadcast his X and Y out so everybody can see where he's at. So we're going to go back to our actors, and first thing we need to do is grab a behavior called constrain. Now constrain is nice, and if you read it down here in the example, constrain constantly updates. So you can just have it here. As soon as you start the game, it'll start running. Now what we want to do is constrain the game attribute of player X to the player's position of X. And this is going to update all the time. That's why we're using constrain. Now we're going to copy this, use Alt, Option, click, and drag that down. Then we're going to go for game player Y, and we're going to change this to self position X for our character. I'm sorry, play Y. Haha, self position Y. There we go. And now he's effectively broadcasting out to the game. And anywhere he moves, this Baddie right here is going to be able to find him. So I'm going to click on Baddie now. And there's a few different ways you can do this. I mean, you could use accelerate toward, you could use move to, you could also do a little calculation and see which side the guy's on, and he could change attribute to move towards him. But since this is a character that's not really going to have to jump or do anything like that, what we're going to do instead is just use move. I think move is easy. It's nice. Accelerate's not bad, but whenever they have to change direction, they have to kind of slow down before they do so. So I'm going to go with move to because it goes a little bit faster. And what I'm going to have him move to is the X and Y coordinate that we've put out to the game. So player X is right here. This little arrow means X. It's pointing to the right, which should be our X. And then this one will be Y, of course, because it's pointing up. And this is our vertical set up here, so we're going to use player Y. Okay, and 300 is pretty fast, so we're going to change that to 100 just so our guy can get away. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and add him to the scene. Remember, nobody works unless you add him to the scene. It's pretty big right now. I'm going to go ahead and shrink him down a little bit. Nothing's really going to happen whenever he gets close to him, but he should follow him around now. He's going to get me. Now I haven't set him to collide with anything yet, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. Let's see what happens whenever he touches him. Sometimes we have an issue where when the character actually touches that thing that's following him, it just stops. Okay, so one way to fix that inside the game, as it pinwheels here, is to have it constantly looking for this. So what we can use is timer. We use a timer. And we're going to say every 0.2 seconds, which should give us enough to, there he goes. He's kind of glitching a little bit as he moves. See that? Yeah. We might want to shave that up a little bit more. I think we can go a little bit deeper. Maybe even take run to completion. And he's looking a little bit more smooth there. Now, one other thing we can do, he does look a little glitchy. He's running a little bit glitchy there. And that's not horrible. Okay, and I need to work on the animation for Mega Man. Looks a little crazy there. Now let's see if I get on the same plane as him, if our little guy will stop. That's the main thing we're focusing on here. Nope, you will follow him around. That's good. So we can use a timer there. If you want it to be a little smooth, a little more smooth than what you see here, we can swap this out for accelerate instead of move to. I'll just turn that off. Add accelerate in. Accelerate toward. And we're going to use the same thing, game player X. Oops, did it twice. And we're going to use game player Y. There we go. And we're keeping it at 100. Now I've turned this one off, so this one should be the one that responds to it. And let's go ahead and hit preview. Okay, now it does look a little bit smoother now. A little bit. Maybe a little tiny bit glitchy. But you notice how he's having trouble correcting. Now that's the main problem there with using accelerate toward. He's going to have a little bit of a problem correcting. See him come around in a big circle like that? So that's one of the issues with accelerate toward. Now he'll eventually, if you stay still, he'll eventually come back around. Now accelerate toward might be a good one for a player character or an actor that's going to try and float around your main character and shoot at him. That might be a good option. If he's not necessarily supposed to get to him ever, that might be a good way to do it, because our actor or player could always go towards the enemy to try and take him out. But if this is something that's supposed to, at this point the thing's got an orbit around him. Let's see if he'll kind of change course here a little bit to get a little closer. I think he's trying to fight his own setup here. So if we change it to 300, let's see if that maybe moves a little quicker. Acceleration usually means if you have the speed a little bit higher, that it'll be able to correct its path a little more quickly. So, yep, he's orbiting again. So accelerate toward, as it currently stands, he's getting a little bit closer every time. Accelerate toward may not be the best option for you, but if it's just going to be shooting our main character and never really supposed to get close, accelerate toward may be a good option. Now, as I said before, you could always use change attribute, and that'll act a lot more like move. You won't have this big orbit that's happening right now with our accelerate toward here. So we probably just want to use move to or possibly change attribute. As you can see here, this one he's trying to bring it back in, but something keeps pulling him out there with the acceleration algorithm that's being used for movement. So my best recommendation would be to use move to, and since it's probably going to stop, and we can try this out right now just to show you that we should have pretty much the same setup. Okay, well, without the timer he does perform a little better. So that's good. That's good to know. With each change in Game Salad, they do change a few things. So this is good. Okay, accelerate toward may not be so bad. But he doesn't get right on top of him like he would with move to. So this is maybe a better option. Now let's see if he gets right on top of him and rests. See, he goes right past him, which might be something you want, but he'll never actually get there.